Let me show you the awesomeness that we experienced not last weekend, but the weekend before. So Maker Faire Orlando was down in the Central Florida Fairgrounds in Orlando, Florida. They had over 300 exhibitors. I don't know the final attendee counts, but the year before they had over 15,000 people come out and attend the show. So it's very popular events. So we had a couple booths at the space. We had the Hackerspace's booth. Joe Floyd had his Menagerie in Motion booth. And then we had a third one for Chimera Creators, where we were talking about our own upcoming mini Maker Faire that's happening here in Gainesville in the end of February. So we had a lot of excitement on the booths. I wanted to just show some pictures. So something that I am very excited about, does anyone recognize this guy that is programming our Commodore 64? It is. This is 8-bit guy. So this is David Murray. I have another picture right here. He runs a YouTube channel that is all about retro computing, retro gaming, a bunch of repair videos for Commodores, Apple IIs, those kind of things. And he was at the show and he saw our Commodore 64, which has been a popular hit for these shows. And he just comes up and just starts coding some things in BASIC, and he made this really neat maze crawler, maze generator there. So he was great to meet and talk to. That was surprising to see there. Something that I am excited about, and you'll hopefully be seeing more of in the future, is this awesome thing here. Let me start over here. So at the event, they have what they call Power Wheel Racers. And this is a racing series where people have taken, you know, those Power Wheel kids toys that are, you know, this small little thing that you get into and you can drive around as a kid. Well, they've taken that, and the idea is you take one of those carts and you have a limit of $500. You have a budget of $500, and you try to soup it up so that way you have a race car. And so they travel around to different events like this, and they have their own racing series. And let me just play a little clip.
So what can they do for the engine? They put different engines in?
So it's all electric. You can do, they have a whole bunch of rules that you have to follow of what kind of battery types you have, what kind of safety features. They have electricity requirements of everything must go through a fuse of this size. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So everyone's on a relatively equal playing field there. But the part of this is also about what they call Moxie, where you have your carts, and then you have, and you get points based on obviously how well you do in the race, but you also get points based on like crowd favorites. So you theme your car into something that the crowd, you know, will like, or your car had some kind of gimmick. For example, there's a, let me switch to another video. So like, for example, they have a Enterprise that's going around, but the two side thrusters of the Enterprise can actually rotate up, and they launch t-shirts. So it's like a t-shirt cannon in the race cart. So I saw this, I've been seeing this for the last couple of years, and I think this is the year that I'm gonna do that. So hopefully we can get a group project together, because we have all kinds of exciting ideas. So if it's technically just limited by that. There's other rules involved. You don't have to start with a Power Wheel, I don't believe. but the original Power Wheel doesn't come out of your budget, so you can pick one up and then modify it however you want. But people have made their own custom frames and done all kinds of crazy stuff with it. So if anyone has an idea of what would be an awesome cart that people would freak out over and would be a crowd pleaser, come talk to me, because that would be awesome.
Are the drivers little kids?
No, they're full-grown adults.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, most of them seem 20s or 30s maybe. But yeah, definitely not kids.
Tires are pneumatic or just solid plastic?
Good question. I'm not sure what your typical go-kart tires are. I think most of them are pneumatic.
Yeah, go-karts are.
Yeah.
These things are like plastic.
Some of them are. There's definitely some carts that had full plastic wheels, but I think most of them were using small go-kart tires. So there is that. So here's a couple pictures of our booth. We brought out the 3D printers. We had a bunch of examples of prints that people have made. We brought the Maslow out. So the Maslow's, that's all the way in the back. We had it not cutting at the showcase. It was just tracing an outline of the Makey robot there. We also had a slideshow of a bunch of members' projects. I asked people to submit photos of things that they've done. And we got a good slideshow of a couple hundred photos just looping throughout. So here in the center here is our main Hackerspace booth. Surprisingly, we had a lot of people from Gainesville come on through. So we ended up passing out like 216 business cards. I cut 175 Hackerspace keychains out of acrylic that we were handing out, and we handed out all of those. And yeah, we just had a lot of really cool interest. A surprising number of people from Gainesville that traveled down to Orlando for the events. So it was great to talk to people. And then we can also see on the side here Joe's booth for Menagerie in Motion, where he was collecting stories of people, asking them what they would make if they were to make an art bike to enter into the next Kinetic Derby. So if you want to see the video of those, you can find it on YouTube. I've shared it to the Hackerspaces group, so you can take a look at that. I think that's it. Actually, I do want to pull up. Do you remember what the Timelapse was called? It was under Chimera Creators, right? Joe put up a time-lapse camera, and we have a quick little time-lapse of the booth, just so you can see what the other layouts were. So there were 3 main buildings in the Central Florida Fairgrounds, and each of the buildings were filled with different themes. So we were in the Maker/3D printer building. Then there was a separate building for kids and kind of kids interactive exhibits. And then a third one that had all of the battle bots were there. They had the R2-D2 Builders Club there. They had a bunch of steampunk, children's robotics, so FIRST Robotics teams there. There's just a whole lot happening in this 2-day show. But as you can see, just nonstop people swinging by the booth. It was really great to talk to people. And I can go on and on, but I am running out of time. So does anyone have questions, thoughts, comments?
When is that race that you're thinking about?
I'm not actually sure when their season starts. So that is the first thing I'll be looking at, is actually jumping into it to see what the deadlines are and that kind of stuff. So I'll be sending out emails and such. Yes?
I think it'll bring one in the Maker Faire here.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. Have a race at the Gainesville Mini Maker Faire happening the last weekend in February. I think it's February 24th. So we'll be having a smaller scale event, but the same kind of concept. We had it last year. It went over really well. So we're hoping to keep bringing it back and keep growing it. Yes?
You showed a picture, it looked like some animal
Yeah. Yeah, so the Menagerie in Motion is run by Joe, and they run a yearly event called the Kinetic Derby at Depot Park. So they get people to build bikes that are these mechanical creatures or other objects, just all kinds of neat art bikes. And they actually race them around Depot Park. So that happens also that same weekend in February. February 24th will be the next one. So if you want to create a art bike, talk to Joe. He'd be the person to go for that. Any other questions? Okay, that's all I have. We'll toss it over to Steve.